Hi, so today we will cover using Selenium alongside with Scrapy. We will use already existing Spider and modify it. So let's go to our Spider code and let's remove some stuff. We will use the default Scrapy Spider that we already used in our previous videos. And let's see what else we don't need. We don't need the start URLs. Also, rules are not needed, and finally this last function. So all in all, only, let's see, 4 or 5 really lines of codes are left. To talk more about Selenium, we already covered this in our first video from this screencast. Selenium, again, to reiterate, is a tool simply for web testing purposes, and it's not built for scraping, but it can be used to scrape some JavaScript heavy pages. The page that we today are going to scrape is not JavaScript heavy, but we are just going to use it to show you as an example how you can use the really Selenium to help you out if you are, for example, encountering some issues gathering the data with just Scrapy. Installing Selenium is going to be really easy, so pretty much just with the pip install you can install the tool. There are really more than a few Selenium driver instances. I'm going to use WebDriver. Let's actually show the one that you can use. So for example, you can use the Firefox. So you would, after of course you install Selenium, import it with this command, and then you can define driver instance and then pretty much call the Firefox as it is. Bear in mind that especially with the Firefox, at least with the Linux installed and in pair with it, they don't work sometimes as expected, so just bear that in mind. Also, for some reason, Chrome or Chrome driver, better said, is a lot faster on my end at least, so I'm going to use the Chrome, or better said, once again, Chrome driver. So to install or download the Chrome driver, because you would have to install it. Firefox as a browser just needs to be installed, but Chrome has to be installed sort of manually if you don't already have it. So once you go to the Chrome driver or type it in to the Google, the first link that it's going to pop up is the official site of the Chrome driver. So just go to the latest release, and then from then on install or download the zip file from the corresponding operating system that you use, and then just unzip it and you will get pretty much similar or exactly this file. So this is once again driver instance that we are going to use. So let's actually load it and show a bit more what can be done with this. Let's go to the terminal, new one, and let's import it. So we will type in from Selenium import WebDriver. Let's see, and we will also use that. Give me a moment. We will also copy and paste this pretty much in our Scrapy Spider code, so we don't forget it. Let's see what else. So just like with the Firefox, we will call our driver instance driver really, and then define Chrome that we want to use really, the Chrome WebDriver instance. And then here we need to specify the path to the pretty much this file. In this case, it's in the home directory, my username, and then the Chrome driver. And once I click enter, as you will see in a moment, WebDriver instance will be loaded. And then you have a pretty much self-explanatory way to fetch some sites. So let's just go to the google.com and let's see. As you can see, it loads pretty much instantly, and then you can use, for example, stuff like driver title to get the title of the page, driver page source, which we are going to use. I think it here even has the status. Nope, it doesn't. I think it has it, but it's different call, and you can pretty much click the Google search and stuff like that, but we will get back to that in a moment. So let's actually load our page. Our page is going to be this one. So let's actually go to our page and inspect it, or add the HTTP, and this should work. So let's see, perfect, it works. So let's actually do this, or as we are testing what will work and what will not, let's actually go to our Scrapy code and add line by line, because this is definitely 10 times easier to follow it that way. So we will actually define first our function. The function is going to be called start requests, and the only parameter here will be the self. We will not get the response because we don't have the start URLs defined, and Spider alongside with these two reserved variable names is going to look for the first function called start requests if it's present, and if it is, this function name has to return request pretty much to the URL. It doesn't matter which one, but it has to be, or request has to be returned or yield. So just like with the parse function name, start request is going to be restricted, or really the Spider sort of Spider attribute. So let's define our Spider. We will use, of course, self dot and then the variable name, because we are in the class. So let's define the WebDriver. Let's see, driver from, and then let's define the path. So this is going to be pretty much the same line that we typed in previously. And then let's define to go to the site. Let's actually just copy and paste this. It's going to be quicker. And let's see. So the next thing that we are going to use is Scrapy selectors. Scrapy selectors are going to be imported from scrapy.selector, import selector. So here we are going to select it just like this. And this will be used pretty much for gathering the URLs from this site. Also, Selenium can be used for this task, but I'm just going to show you the Scrapy way. So then we define variable name called cell, and then define selector, and in selector object we will collect, or the text that we are going to collect is going to be from the driver page source. So it's going to be pretty much this string, so all of the HTML. Click enter, and then we can pretty much use the, as you can see, selector or Scrapy. This is sort of like Scrapy shell, and then we can define, for example, to select every H1 tag and stuff like that. But here we will concentrate on getting to the book URLs. So they are, for example, in this case, it's in this exact node. So here we see the H3, and then in that A tag we have the source, or in this case href, to the URL. So let's actually try to just type in to select every H3 and then go to that header and select the A tag, and let's see how many of them are found. So there seems to be everything from a light in the attic, and the last one is going to be the URL to the catalog / it's only the, so let's see if this will be, pretty much this will be the last one. Great. So we are currently selecting all of the book URLs as selectors. And let's actually get the href and then finally call the extract. Now this is going to be part of the URL. As you can see, this is not the full URL. If we go to any really book URL, you will see that it goes to the books.scrape.com, and then it goes to the catalog and then name of the book and stuff like that. So let's just go back and go to our Scrapy code, define the selector. Here we will initialize the Scrapy selector. So I forgot the self parameter here. And let's see what else. Selector. This doesn't has to contain the self in it. So, and then we will collect the, or really assign book variables to the selector. Let's see this one. So once again, this is going to collect pretty much all of the book URLs on any given page. And then we will iterate over each link. So for book in books, and here we are going to first assign the variable name URL, just to specify that we need to go to books or to add books.toscrape.com and then this type of string. So let's do that. So http books.toscrape.com and then trailing slash, because this doesn't offer the slash as a starting part of the URL. And then let's just add the book. And finally, let's yield the request. So we will yield request, and let's actually just first define it. So this is going to be from Scrapy http import request. Let's see, so the URL, or the first parameter, is going to be, of course, the URL to the page, and then the callback, it's just going to be self dot, for example, parse, let's see, parse book, or something like that. And let's see if something is missing. Yeah, that should work. So let's actually try it and see if it does work actually. So we change our directory. This is actually the way that I work, so hopefully I do know what I'm talking about. So let's see if it works, but sometimes it doesn't work for whatever reason. So let's see, perfect, it does have the error, so let's see why that is. So driver, and of course the self is not referenced, so that is definitely the issue. So let's try it once again. And the callback or book spider object, of course I haven't assigned or defined the function name, and this will have the self and response, and we will just pass it as of right now. Let's try the third time, and here we don't have the, of course, defined properly URL. So let's try it for the fourth time. Perfect. So right now it works. So as you can see, we get the 200 as a successful one, or as a successful response. So that's perfect. In the very next video, we will cover iterating or using while loop to iterate over clicking of this button, and then once it goes to the last page, once this button is not present, we will add an exception and we will scrape all of the URLs with the Scrapy and maybe scrape some title or price of every book. Talk to you soon.